Hi, Jill here, and welcome back to my channel, Relax, Release and Reiki, where it is all about deeply relaxing, releasing the stuff that isn't serving us in whatever shape or form it takes, and using Reiki and some simple life-lifting techniques to do just that. So in this video, I want to talk about self-forgiveness. Something that we are not particularly good at. We're very quick to forgive, well, not necessarily quick, but we find it a lot easier to forgive other people. But when it comes to ourselves, it's almost as if we don't forgive ourselves and use it as a sort of form of punishment for the bad thing that we did. We don't let ourselves off the hook. However, it is really important to process an event where we feel that we've done something wrong or bad and let the energy around it go, release it, because otherwise it can be detrimental to our emotional well-being in terms of banking that the feeling that we're a bad person, and that then becomes one of our core beliefs, which obviously we don't want. That's one example. Or it can actually cause repetitive, spiralling negative thinking. So it starts off with the thoughts and feelings linked to the event, and then we ruminate, and the whole energy around that just grows arms and legs, and it can really take you into a negative spiral. Again, something that we don't want for ourselves. So that's just a couple of examples of how it can manifest in our emotional well-being. And then the more subtle, probably not so obvious impact is on our physical well-being. So everything is energy. Thoughts, feelings and emotions are energy. And when we don't release them and process them and release them, we hold them in our bodies. So we can hold stress and tension around the event, and we can hold the negative energy around some of those feelings. So quite sticky, almost what I call dirty emotions, things like guilt, shame, anger, resentment, things that we typically want to avoid and brush under the carpet. We find them very difficult to admit to. So we really want to be shedding those from our energy, because otherwise they can become trapped and block our energy flow, causing aches, pains, and at worst, illness, which again, obviously we don't want. So in this video, I want to guide you through the steps on how to process and then release so that you can effectively forgive yourself. So I'm just grabbing my notebook just to make sure that I cover everything. So whenever I talk about a transformation, it's really important to prepare for the change, no matter how small it is. And that can be a very accelerated process. But typically you're looking to look at the what, the why, the when, the how, and the who of it all. And get that straight, process it in your mind so that you can then fully release all aspects of whatever it is, and then make that transformation, make that change. So when it comes to self-forgiveness, it's important to understand what it is that you're looking to forgive yourself for. Now, I know that sounds obvious, but for this exercise, in a moment, I'm going to be inviting you to write down exactly what it is so that it's fully formed in your mind, and then you can obviously then release it. So it's almost like digging up what's going on, bringing it forward, and then releasing it out. Then it's good to look at why you feel you need forgiveness. What is it about what happened that makes you feel, that wasn't one of my better moments, and I actually want to release and forgive myself. then looking at how it's manifesting. So by that I mean, what are the thoughts, feelings and emotions that come up when you think about this particular event that you want to forgive yourself for? That's something that we rarely do. We start to, what I call 3/4 thoughts. A thought will come in, we'll start to think about it, and then we cut it off, particularly because in this case, some of those emotions are really uncomfortable. Feelings of shame and guilt and anger, they just don't feel good. And that's because obviously our inner being is wanting us to release them. So we'll take a few moments to bring it to the fore, but trust that we're obviously going to release that and let it go. Next up is who. So who else was involved in this scenario? Typically, when we're looking to forgive ourselves, there are other people or another person involved. So it's good to identify who they are. Most likely, you might, although I've chopped it up like this into separate parts just to make sure that everything's covered, when you're talking about what, chances are you'll be talking about who as well. And then when did this happen? Is it something that happened recently, or is it something that you keep thinking about that happened when you were a child? Again, that's just helpful because when we open up to Reiki and start the release process, we're going to be talking to that version of ourselves at the point when this actually happened. Okay, so once you've got the context, I'm going to invite us to open up and start the process of releasing via Reiki. And I'll help you to release the emotions that you've identified, the thoughts, feelings, and all the energy around that. We'll then pause and I'll invite you to think about, what lesson did you learn from this event? Now you might think, I don't even really want to think about it, but we learn from our mistakes no matter what they are, and it could be just as simple as, I'm never going to do that again, and that's fine. So maybe it's something that you as soon as it happened, pretty much, you said to yourself, this is how I'm going to be from now on. Or maybe you've not given yourself that opportunity. So we're just going to have a little look at that and see if anything else comes up. When you're in a relaxed state, more in tune with your intuition, perhaps something else will come up. And then lastly, and this is the bit that I feel that gets overlooked a lot of the time, and that is to release the judgment around what happened. So oftentimes you say, I've forgiven myself, but we still hold ourselves almost at like an arm's length. That version of myself can stay over there because, that was not one of my best moments. I don't even like the person I was when I did what I did. Again, it's all that shame, guilt, maybe a suppressed anger. We want to push it away and hold it away from us because that seems easier to do. So I will be guiding us through releasing that judgment and actually pulling that version of ourselves back in so that we can be complete and that we can truly release and let go of whatever it is so that we can forgive ourselves. Now, all of that said, it's not about condoning what happened. And obviously, everybody's experience is going to be different. Some of these are going to be quite big events, and for some others, it might be something relatively small. So, as I say, it's not about condoning. It's about learning the lesson so that you can be different going forward. Probably you already are doing that anyway. But like I say, it's really, really important to release all of the energy around this. It can be big energy. Right, let's get started. I'm just going to take a sip out of my new mug, which one of my beautiful friends gave me. Right, okay, so I'm going to go through the what, when, how, why questions. Now, I know you're watching this on video, but I really encourage you to write down your responses. It's so much more powerful in terms of the energy around it. So when we just think things, we don't think as expansively, we don't think as fully as we would do if we write it down. And writing it down is very similar to like talking therapy. So it is really great for our emotional well-being. So if you haven't got something to write with, pause the video and just grab that now. I am being a bit pushy there, but yeah. Okay. So the first question is obviously what? What is it that you want to forgive yourself for? Try to describe it in as much detail as you possibly can. Bring it to life in your mind. Although that may feel uncomfortable, as I say, it'll help you to release those feelings. So pause the video, write as much as you possibly can. If you haven't already, then I'd like you to describe or write down why you feel that you need forgiveness. What is it about the event that happened that you feel you need to forgive yourself for it? Then I'd like you to describe how this is manifesting. When you think about the event, what are the thoughts, feelings and emotions that come up for you? Take your time on this one. Be kind. Try to leave all judgment of yourself behind. But really be honest. If you feel that, I really didn't like myself at that time and I felt like a bad person. In fact, sometimes I still do. Get it all out. What I would say is whatever you're writing on, whether it's via a laptop, your phone, or you're actually using pen and paper, don't show this to anyone else. In fact, maybe even delete it after this exercise or rip it up and put it in the bin so that you feel that you can fully express how you're feeling, what the emotions are around this. Okay. Next up is who else was involved. Like, as I say, you may have already got that in the what when you described it, but if you haven't, think about who else was involved in this. Again, leave judgment behind. Just literally just say somebody, my friend, my colleague, someone in the street, or whatever it was. Just put who else was involved. And then, if you haven't already, write down when this happened. So if you can, roughly how old were you? Maybe it was only last week, in which case it's a lot easier to bring it to mind. But if it's something in childhood, just try to think about roughly how old you are when it happened. God, I don't know why, I've been really thirsty today. All right. And then lastly, is it just anything else that may be sort of bubbling up? If there's a thought that just keeps popping up as you've gone through this exercise, just write it down. Okay, maybe it's something that your inner being is wanting you to be aware of, and when we go into the Reiki, it'll come up and you'll know what to do with it. Okay. All right, so now you've got an understanding of the context around what it is that you want to forgive. We're going to open up, or I'm going to open up to Reiki and I'm going to share it with you. So get yourself comfortable. Better put your notebook or phone or whatever to one side. And then we're going to go through the process of releasing. So I'm going to do the same. I'm going to put my notebook over there. Oh, so yeah, it can feel a bit odd actually to jump from bringing all of that energy to the fore and then me asking you to deeply relax and get into Reiki. So I'll help with that. So let's close our eyes and just notice how you're feeling. Maybe a bit uncomfortable, busy, uncomfortable thoughts. It's all fine. It's all as it should be. You are a beautiful human with having a human experience, and that is absolutely fine. Take a really deep breath in. Bring the breath as far down as you possibly can, and then release the breath. So when I'm talking about deep breath, I'm talking about, if you can, breathing in through your nose, bringing the breath right down into your diaphragm, maybe even pushing your belly button out very slightly, just gently. And then, if you can, release the breath through your mouth. Do whatever works for you, in and out, but really nice, juicy, big breath in, and then a sigh or a long release of the breath, as if drawing out stagnant energy. So I'm just going to leave you to do a few breaths. Just go at your own pace, nice and steady. I'm just going to fully open up to Reiki. I won't be long. Okay. So I just invite you to imagine the crown of your head opening. So whatever that means for you, perhaps if you imagine a tightly furled flower, it's just in bud, and then as it unfurls and blossoms into a full flower, that kind of motion of from closed to blossoming and being open. If you can't picture something in your mind's eye, just trust that that process is happening. I'm quite a visual person, so I like imagery, but I know that not everyone can bring images to mind, and that's absolutely fine. We all respond to the world in different ways. Just trust that it's happening. And as our crowns open, the Reiki energy starts to flow in, so flowing in through the crown of our head, coursing down through our whole body, and then any excess energy, any energy we don't need, can come out through the soles of our feet. Give your energy permission to actually do that. So just say, I give my energy permission to receive Reiki and to release whatever needs shifting. Perfect. So the Reiki's coming in through the crown of our head, releasing any tension in our face and head. Breathe in deeply and relax your shoulders back down. We tend to have them slightly towards our ears. So release them back down. Release any tension in the upper part of your body, in your arms, softening your wrists and hands. Releasing any tension in our chest and upper back. Shoulder blades can get a bit uncomfortable, so you might want to just stretch out across your collarbones. Ooh, yeah. Relaxing a little bit more with every single breath. Down into our tummies and our lower back. Release and let go. Down into our hips and pelvis. Those big strong muscles in our buttocks, they can relax. All the tension in our hips and our pelvis can be released, softening our hip flexors, as if someone's giving you a lovely gentle massage and the muscles are just sighing and relaxing a little bit more and a little bit more. down into our thighs. Again, releasing, relaxing any tension. Softening our knees. Down into our shins and calves. Softening our ankles, feet and toes. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay. So Reiki works in mysterious ways. It does things that we are not even conscious of. We've got so much stuff in our subconscious that we're holding energy we're not even aware of. So we leave the Reiki to work its magic, if you like. So we're not interfering with that. But we are going to set the intention to show ourselves love and forgiveness. Unconditional love. So just say to yourself, I show myself love, unconditional love and forgiveness. Alright. So, I invite you to bring your focus to your heart chakra. So that's the space in line with where your heart sits in your physical body. You may want to just lay your hands over your heart. It's entirely up to you. Let's breathe into that space. And release, then we'll let go of the breath back into that space or through that space. And once again, breathing into that space, into our hearts, opening our heart chakra if it isn't already open, or opening it a little bit more. Release the breath, when you're ready. Just keep breathing nicely, nice and deeply into your heart space. And imagine there's almost like a miniature version of you now standing in your heart space. And as you do, feel that love for yourself. Your own self-love and the love of the universe surrounding you. And in this moment, feeling very calm, very relaxed, very loved, supported and safe. So at any point in this, if you feel emotions bubbling up, just take a nice deep breath, sigh or release the breath, release the energy around those emotions. I'll obviously be guiding us through, but if you at any point you feel you need to take an extra breath, obviously go ahead, do so. Trust yourself on this one, your energy will guide you. Okay, so I invite you to imagine that younger version of yourself when the event that you want to forgive yourself for happened. So focusing on just one event. It could be just last week, it could be yesterday, or it could be just something from childhood, so from years ago. All's good. Choose one event, the event that we wrote about in our earlier exercise. And imagine that person, that version of you, is standing opposite you right now. And allow them to describe what happened and why they feel they need forgiveness. Maybe you want to hold their hands as they're talking to show them love and support. Ask them to describe how they were feeling, how they feel. What emotions, what thoughts, what do they think about themselves as a result of what's happened? And then say to yourself, I'm ready to release all of the thoughts, feelings and emotions linked to this event. I'm ready to release all of the thoughts, feelings and emotions linked to this event. Take a breath in. Release the breath, release the energy, release the thoughts, the feelings and emotions. And then once again, say to yourself, I'm ready to release. And go through the emotions, feelings, the thoughts. I'm ready to release feeling guilty, ashamed, dirty, angry, like I was not a nice person or a bad person. Go through whatever it is for you. I'm ready to release. Just keep going. You can repeat the same words, all's fine. Alright. And then say to yourself, please forgive me. Just notice how you feel. You may feel a little resistance actually to forgiving yourself, in which case say I release any resistance to forgiving myself. Say I give my energy permission to release and to forgive. I give my energy permission to release and forgive. If you feel as though in your physical body that there's a bit of trapped energy, so maybe bubbles in your throat, a slight tightness in your chest, bubbles or discomfort in your tummy, anywhere in your body actually, tingling in your hands, whatever it may be, breathe into that space, or otherwise just take a deep breath. Feel as though you're filling that area, and then release, as though popping the energy that you're holding, or just generally releasing if there's nowhere in particular in your body. If you need to, repeat that as many times as you feel you need to. Just gently, go slowly, with patience, with love, with kindness. Now, with your younger self still in front of you energetically, if you can picture them, all the better. If not, just sense that they're there, holding their two hands in front, gently in a loving connection. And say to them, I forgive you. And then I love you unconditionally. I love you unconditionally. Then feel as though you're enveloping them in a loving embrace, pulling them towards you, holding them. Just pause for a moment and just genuinely feel love for your younger self and forgiveness, and that now you can just let that go. You can forgive yourself, you can let go of the judgment, and just draw your younger self back into you. Feel as though keep pulling them in until they eventually just dissolve back into you and you just become one again. Okay. And just sit with that feeling, knowing that that version of yourself is part of you. Everything has a reason to it. Our life events are the way that we learn, the way that we grow. Some of those are difficult, uncomfortable, things that we do deeply regret, but nevertheless they make us who we are. And it doesn't mean that we're a bad person, untrustworthy, unloving, or any other emotion like that. You can let that go now. It's just part of life's rich pattern that every human being experiences. We all do. So with that in mind, and now with loving eyes, look back at the event and just think, what have I learned from this? Or what can I learn from this? Like I say, with kindness, with love, as if you were talking to a younger sibling, or if you've got children, or a dear friend, somebody that you hold dear. What would you say to them in terms of a lesson? And lastly, and this may seem a little unusual, but let us say thank you and be grateful for this opportunity to have experienced this event, so that we can learn from it and that we can continue to grow as individuals, to become better versions of ourselves. Once again, just notice any prickly energy, any feelings of discomfort. And if that's the case, or regardless, actually, take a nice deep breath in. If you need to, breathe into a specific area of your body and release, let go. Letting go of any last bits of energy around this, just let them go. Let them go. You've made peace with yourself. So replacing that energy now just with love and acceptance. So laying your hands on your heart, if you like, just say to yourself, I love myself and I accept myself. I'm at peace with who I am. Okay, so I'm just going to close off to the Reiki for now. And we're going to come back into the room. So start to notice your physical body. Have a stretch, a yawn, whatever you need to do. And then when you're ready, open your eyes and come back. Okay. Right, so that can be emotional, as you'd imagine. I get that. So as I say nearly all the time, be kind to yourself. Yeah, you may be feeling a little bit more wobbly for the rest of the day. Hopefully not. But just be mindful of that, if you are a little bit more, I'm going to say reactive. I don't know if that's the right word, but anyway. So this is an exercise that you can repeat again and again. If you're really looking to release trapped energy, unneeded energy, it's good to just go through each thing that you want to forgive yourself for and just take your time, just gradually releasing each thing one by one. It's also really great to practice, on a more regular basis. So when things pop up day to day, which they will, you don't necessarily need to go into a full meditative state through Reiki. You can just say, do you know what? I'm just going to release that now. And just go through the emotions that you're feeling. I release X, Y, and Z. Release that. And I pull myself back in, and I accept myself for who I am, and I show myself love and forgiveness. You can just do it as quickly as that. This exercise that we've been through is great when you've got something that you've been holding for quite a long time, or something that, because you've been spiraling down into negative thoughts or rumination, it's much more embedded. Anyway, the choice is yours. Do what your intuition is telling you. All right, so I just wish you lots of love and happiness.